All right, welcome into the Jeep Grand Cherokee, Pinto, Mercury, Hummer, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Saturn Studios. This is Iggy Talks Too Much, Episode 1, the Air Check. And remember, all wagering advice should never be used. In fact, you should never wager, as our betting sponsor, Caesar and Cleopatra's Popina and Wagering Parlor, suggests you'd rather have a stab in the back. But you can sign up today with today's promo code by sending a chariot with a stone carving with the phrase Full Caesar. And upon winning your first wager, you'll win 23 big ones in the Rotunda. All right, so we're going to break down this week's spreads, unders, overs, and every which way this week in NFL action. It's big. I think it's week 14 in the NFL, and we're going to look at some of the betting options you have that you should never use because it is a terrible vice and a terrible habit from our sponsors, Caesar and Cleopatra's Popina and Wagering Parlor. All right, so this week we got Minnesota Vikings against the Lions. Lions actually are favorites in this game, which is very, very strange. They should not be favorites in this game, but we'll see how that goes. Get the standings up here because we have the Detroit Football Lions are a very interesting squad because they remember Goff came over from the Rams and basically has been terrible. But somehow, yet again, the Lions are a wonderful team that likes to tease us. We always had a rule here. The rule here in the studio is that you should never bet for or against the Lions because you will lose. But because we're here to try to sell action for the various casinos, including our sponsor, Caesar and Cleopatra's Popina and Wagering Parlor, we need to make sure we actually give you a bet so that maybe you can follow it and lose money because every single bet money. So right now the Lions are 5-7. If they beat the Vikings, who've really been middling, they've really struggled with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. They've not really scored a lot of points. They've really been stuck in a lot of games. The Lions actually have scored. I think, if I'm looking at this correctly, they are now. They were number one for offense at one point, but now they're actually number 3 in the NFC. But they've scored a lot of points. They've also given up a lot of points. So I'm not really. I think it's almost a pick-up game in terms of the points because the Lions games are always close, but 2.5. It's a little bit tough. I'm going to actually take. I'm going to take the Lions here. Even though it's a tough value proposition. That over-under is probably way too high. I don't think the defenses are necessarily going to have this issue of being able to. They're not going to stop anything. The Vikings, some games will go a bunch of points, some other ones they don't. So over-under is probably a no-taker. I'm going to take the Lions here, and lay the 2.5. All right. So we also got on the 1 o'clock flight of games, we got the Browns-Bengals. I'm not even sure who the heck is starting for the Browns at the moment. Let me see here. I have. Always nice to have all the stats in front of you. Browns and Bengals, man, this is a tough one. Didn't they play earlier? Yeah, they played earlier this season, and the Bengals pretty much clobbered them. They clobbered them by 19 points. And so they're only laying 4? I mean, I don't think much has changed. They still have the same quarterback, right? Who is QB1 for... It's Burrow. And I think the Browns have a bunch of injuries at D-back. Oh, that's right. The Deshaun Watson experiment and how the NFL doesn't. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yep, the shield protects the income and morals know no bounds. Oh man, that's a bit tough. So the Browns, I don't know, the Deshaun Watson factor, because he played one game, didn't it go terribly? Yeah, 131 yards with a 28.5 QB rating and 1 interception. I don't like it. I don't like it. Didn't they lose? Didn't they lose really bad? Let's see what we got here. Obviously 5-7. We got playoff implications here, but I'm not really sure. They played Houston. Wait, he only put up... Did he not play the whole game? Football ref. Deshaun Watson. Who do we got here? Yep, so at Houston, oh my goodness. That's a trap. He must have not played the whole game, right? Let's see. I don't know if Pro Football Reference has that stat. He must have not played the whole game. Nope. He played the whole game. What? And the spread's 4 points. You have to be kidding me. Okay, so Joe Burrow and the weak pass rush of the Browns, I don't think is going to be enough. Joe Burrow gets sacked like a bazillion times and is always on the run in the backfield. But I think I like the Bengals here at -4 and the Deshaun Watson experiment. Just for moral's sake, needs to not go well. All right, so we got Ravens Steelers. Ravens Steelers. I wish I had a reference site that was actually teams. That's not useful at all. Here we go. Steelers, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. So Baltimore's had the same kind of play that they've had for the past several weeks. They really just like running that ball up the middle and winning by field goals. And I'm not sure Pittsburgh is really going to have a very good answer for that. Where the heck is Baltimore? Oh, they're in the same division, of course. Yeah, so Baltimore's 8-4, Pittsburgh's 5-7. We're looking at a 2-point spread here, which is, I mean, the game is probably going to be that close. Baltimore doesn't score a lot of points, so I think I'd actually be on money line here with the Ravens. I'm not really sure. Is there anything else I'd like to consider in this match? So I mean, they just got off beating. Didn't they just play the Jets? Yeah, they just played the Jets. What was the score of that silliness? Wasn't it like 12 to 11 or something? Where is no Saints? They played the Saints. They played the Saints and they won by 14 points. Then they played the Bucks. I'm just curious how often they're winning by. Okay, so the last game they actually beat the Browns by 3, so that's not particularly. That's a tough one, but I would go with the Pittsburgh Steelers to lose to the Ravens here. I just think the coaching Harbaugh's just too good at winning rough and tumble ground pound games, and the Steelers have pretty much been middling the whole season, and the quarterback issues just after Ben Roethlisberger left, they've really not. How many points they put up in the last 3 games? 13 against the Eagles, 35, 10 against the Dolphins. They held the Dolphins to 16 though, and then they barely beat the Bucks. But we know the Bucks have so many injuries, and basically Brady is just doing. As soon as they go, we're losing. We're gonna let Brady throw the ball and do whatever he needs to do to win the game and save our faces because we don't know what we're doing at coach. That's that. See, but yeah. So we're gonna go with we're gonna take the Ravens here. And the points. I don't really understand why. I mean, get 2 points in a Ravens game that's probably going to be like 15 to 13. I like it. All right, so let's go to the we got the Jets and the Bills, and man, this was basically earlier on in the season was going to be a premier matchup, right? We have the Jets. New York is actually good, right? New York has actually had the New York footballing Giants and the New York footballing Jets have both managed to do reasonably well. Where is my stat thing? Yeah, so it doesn't go by teams. It goes by. Oops. Oh, it's down here. Cool. So we got Jets. Oh, cool. There's actually a little preview. Shout outs to ProFootballReference.com. So we got the 9-3 Bills, 7-5 Jets. This is basically for. We're talking playoffs here. We got box scores. Do I not really get? Yes, give me this. There we go. Yep. So we got Zach Wilson for the Jets, and we got Josh Allen, of course. I find it hard to think that the Jets are going to have a real shot at this game. We look at their last 5 matchups. The Jets have eked it out, but other games they won in November, but I don't know. The Bills are this weird team. Like they're either going to go out and put up a bazillion points and destroy you, or they're okay. So Josh Allen does have the right elbow issue. So actually an injury report here. That's what I wanted to know. But so the Jets are still starting. What's his face? It is Zach Wilson starting, right? Not giving me ads. Yeah, because I don't want to see Flacco. Flacco would be. Yeah, assuming that Zach Wilson's starting this game, And considering the level of mistakes that he makes into this Bills defense, I don't know. This is a tough one. It's tough to go against Josh Allen. How many points? We're looking at 10 points. That's a bit rough. That's a bit rough. Oof. I don't know. I think I still take the Bills here just because every time that the game is not going the game is either going to be the Jets barely lose or barely win or the Bills just destroy them. So I think I take the Bills here -10. All right, so we got another Northeastern slobberknocker. We got the Eagles Giants, 7 points. 7 points being laid by the Giants, the New York Footballing Giants, to the Eagles. And let me get this one in front of me. We got Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones, and who's on the ground? AJ Brown on the ground receiving for the it's Miles Sanders is the running back. And any injuries, I'm really worried. Really, the issue of the season is basically the New York Football Giants have had. They started out great, and now they're basically going to be struggling to get into the playoffs. And a lot of it has to do with a lot of the injuries you don't think about on the O line. I know they're missing at least one cornerback, so it's a bit rough. I mean, like it pulls up the injury report here, and it's just like there's 12 names on this list, and the Eagles only have 3. And basically half these guys aren't practicing or have limited practice and a lot of knee injuries. So the Giants have had a really rough go of it, and I'm not sure it's going to improve here. When we look at the team rankings, the Giants at the beginning of the season, it was kind of this weird thing where they were just doing extremely well, and then they weren't. We got now they're 28th in pass yards. So this is looking like the Jets. They're not dead last in every aspect, but they're getting rather close. But their rush yards have to save them. That's what I was looking at. How many TDs does he have this season? Miles Sanders. I mean, honestly, like don't even play this game. Just take if you can get Miles Sanders at any time touchdown. That might be the prop here. Take him anytime scoring, just because I think they're going to have issues throwing the ball as they have been lately. They do have a positive takeaway. It's just that Philly is the number 1 in the country with plus 12 turnover difference. It's very luck based, but there's certain players that have what's known as the chaos factor. Chaos factor being how often is it do they end up in plays that result in turnovers, big losses, and stuff like that. I have no idea what their K rate is, but just by the numbers, it seems very difficult with the way that the Giants have been playing the last few weeks and how much they've been struggling. I mean, it's 7 points, but the Giants may very well only have half the score of the Eagles at the end of this game. It's interesting the over-under is 44.5 on this thing. It almost would be a little bit higher, but all right, moving on to the next one. We got Texans Cowboys. Wow. So the Texans are basically the worst team in the league. They're trying to get the number 1 draft pick. They're doing a terrible job. And wow, that money line plus 1150. That about tells you there if you convert it over the spread into the money line. 17 points. And let's look at how bad the Texans are. Do you think 17 points? How bad could that be? I'll take the Texans and the points, and everything's going to be great. No, it's not going to be great. What is there a stat? Like, where's the comparison of the? Do we have that? Do we have the stats? Houston Cowboys. Yeah, let's look at exactly how bad Houston is. Points scored a game, 15.7. Dallas 27.8. This is where I'm going to get into the spread thing. So Dallas is basically scoring the most points, almost the most points a game, almost allowing the most points a game, which is going to end up being an issue in this game for me. Pretty good in takeaways, and that might end up being the difference where Houston just can't score because they're going to give the ball away too much. But Dallas's struggles. Remember, they had Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott both been injured during this season. We got Dak back now, and of course, all the other sports talk radio people have been, everyone's just oohing and eyeing because it's Cowboys. Oh, they're the greatest. They're really not. The games that they should have won convincingly, they barely win. Then they went out. What did they play? They play the Bills on Thanksgiving or whatever, and they kind of got shown up. It's just always a terrible time with them. It's a bleep show, and the stats look great, but at the end of the day, they're going to end up on the inside of the playoffs. They're going to get a playoff game, then they're going to blow it. That's the kind of team that they are. But the question is does Davis Mills and the Houston Texans have something to show for this? Well, yeah. What was the thing I was looking? I was looking for the points allowed per game by Houston 23.9, and the Cowboys have their team back. This is one I really wouldn't normally be touching, but again, our betting sponsor requires me to pick all of the games, so we're going to take the Cowboys in this just because I don't know where the Texans are going to find the points when half their drives are going to be a 3-and-out or is going to be an interception that probably results in points. I don't think they're going to blow this one like they almost did the Lions. All right. One more game in the 1 o'clock window. We have the Jaguars and the Titans. Now, the Titans are going to end up being this team that kind of backdoors their way into the playoffs, right? It doesn't seem like every year they make it in one way or another. They're currently 7-5. They're gonna really need this win. And the Jags, of course, the middling Jags. With Trevor Lawrence at the helm, who's actually looked better this season, and they've kind of righted the ship after the Urban Meyer but he needed a night out disaster. Man, this Tennessee injury report, though, there's a heck of a lot of guys they're missing. So they got 2 wide receivers that I don't think are... C.J. Board and Traylon Burks are probably not going to play because ribbon concussion is... I'm following this team particularly closely, but just look at his injury report. They're missing a lot of key people. And so what was the line on this? Like 3 points? 3 points? Wow. 3 points. Jags getting 3 points. We got the Titans team that's now been kind of beset by injuries. What was their last matchup? What was the last matchup that we had here? Last played the Eagles last time out. Where's the box score? Oh, there it is. The last time out, the Titans lost big time last week to the Eagles. They also have lost to the Bengals. They beat the Packers, and that just seems difficult, right? The Packers with Aaron Rodgers and his broken hand and how much struggle he's had with just receivers that don't even know the routes. I don't know if they just hired them this week. I don't think that's the case, but that's just really what it feels like because he keeps throwing it to receivers that they're just invisible. They're phantoms, and they're just literally running the wrong route. So it seems difficult here that we're going to have I kind of like Jaguars in the points here just because I don't see just the Titans with their recent struggles. This season they've only put up the most points they put up this season is 27, and they have not put up more than 20 points since week 5 when they play the Washington Commanders right before the bye week. So that's a bit, that doesn't quite hit it for me. And that's the 1 o'clock window of games. What did I do with my? Yep, so be sure to stop by on Porky's Nightmare Bacon and Everything Else Emporium. Nothing says holidays better than a deliciously mouth-watering holiday ham. Be sure to stop in and ask about their 2 hams for $20 deal and tell them Porky sent you. And so the 4 o'clock games that we have here, we have Bucks 49ers, and this one's a really interesting one because I think, do they still have Garoppolo starting for the 49ers here? Who do we got? Because obviously we got Brady on the Bucks coming off of one of the most amazing comebacks in the history. Yeah, so here's the problem is the 49ers are starting Jimmy G, and they look good. They look legitimately good. They got a locker room that's happy. Their quarterback has come after injuries and disaster. Actually, Garoppolo's not starting. Excuse me, he's not starting. There's no way he's starting because he got the foot injury. So he was going to be back in the playoffs. So who's starting for the 49ers? Because we know we know TB12 is starting for do we have? Oh no, it's Brock Purdy. Uh-oh. Is it really Brock Purdy? It is Brock Purdy. Oh my goodness. Let's look at Brock Purdy, Iowa State. He picked up in the Garoppolo game, right? The injury for last week. That's the recent team games. Yeah, so Brock Purdy was known as Mr. Irrelevant. So Mr. Irrelevant is the person who's taken last in the NFL draft. And then he led the team to a miraculous win last week. And that seems tough. So here's the issue is we have a Tampa Bay team that is scraping by, But we need to keep in mind what Brady's focus is on here and what the Bucks ultimately need to do. Okay, they're not in the same division, so this game is not worth double. So the Bucks don't have to win this game. They sure would like it though, but it's just rough because the Bucks, man, they're still missing so many key people, and the people that Brady is throwing to are not. What's the turnover rate for the 49ers here? They're 17th in takeaways, and they're allowing and giving up about 18 points. Oh, sorry, that's the Bucks. Yeah, I would say the 49ers are allowing the least points per game because they got Rosa on the defensive line, and he's. I wonder if Brady's turtle soup is going to get cooked tonight. That seems. I love Brady. We know we're all big fans of Brady here. We have to be because we're on the radio, and we always have to make sure we talk about like we literally have a Brady's per minute quota. We have to hit those numbers just like we talk about the Cowboys all the time. We just got to keep talking about Brady and saying the word Brady, and the advertisers just roll in because we just keep talking about Brady because he is the GOAT. But the GOAT here, I got to take the 49ers and the points, despite the fact that Brock Purdy had a good game. Brady does not run their defense. I think Brady would find a way to absolutely destroy Brock Purdy. But I don't think it's happening today. I think after I don't know, it's always difficult, but we just saw a quarterback this week on Thursday get hired by the team and on the plane Tuesday and manage to win. So we're gonna take the 49ers and lay the points here, 3.5. If you get a teaser here, maybe you take 3, but generally never buy those. All right, what else do we have? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. We're almost through all the games. Uh-oh. We did Tennessee. I mean, what's the Chiefs Broncos? Chiefs Broncos is really easy. One has Patrick Mahomes on one team, and the other one has Russell. Is it Russell T.O.S.? I can't remember his name, but it's Russell Wilson. I was trying to do something funny with his middle name, but Russell Wilson, $250 million disaster. They've still not righted this ship. They still are one of the worst offenses in the league. They have some of the worst 2-minute drills. So it's a whole first year coaching. You probably could give me plus 15 on this number, and I'm still not on the Broncos, although I probably would not be interested in it at that. But 9 points, it almost seems like a value buy, and I really like the over here just because I know what Mahomes is going to do. The funny thing is the Broncos defense has actually been really good in these games. People aren't really talking about it. Like, if the Broncos could actually score 20 points in a game, they actually would have won like half the season. But the problem is that their offense just can't do anything. You watch Russell Wilson, like nothing was the epitome of disaster than sending the kicker out for a 63, 65 yarder on Monday night in your big debut with Russell Wilson in prime time, brand new coach, and they have a whole first year staff, and it has just been a complete and utter flaming disaster. And the Chiefs need to make sure they're still in the running for the bye and a solid playoff spot and some home games in the playoffs. They're gonna cover those 9 points. Who else we got here? We got Panthers Seahawks. So, what's his name? The Seahawks coach. Not Mark. I don't know. The Seahawks. The heck's his name? I can't think of his name. Pete Carroll, USC guy. So we're just talking about USC on the college show, and how USC didn't make the playoffs, so they just got the Heisman. Heisman quarterback had a phenomenal year, but they blew it in the big Pac-12. They didn't really blow it, but the Pac-12 championship game was Utah, who already beat them, and they weren't able to avenge their loss. But at the same time, like the Pac-12 is like actually getting good again. At any rate, so Pete Carroll, really good coach, and we got the middling Carolina Panthers, where QBs go to just lose their careers. We're not going to talk about the Rams because the Rams already played, but Baker Mayfield literally just revived his career on Thursday by dropping 2 dimes in a 2-minute drill with literally no preparation. He's in the taxi cab with one of their starting quarterbacks who's out listening to him on tape record, going through all the plays. Z65 flick, and then why, like all the different receive, like there's like 30 different phrases you need to know at the line, and so they really utilize the you have until about 15 seconds on the play clock where the radio works, and so anywho. Carolina Panthers, who the heck is even starting for them at they are starting Baker Mayfield. They released them. So who the heck's starting for who is starting for Carolina Panthers today. Because Baker Mayfield just, like, saved his career. Oh, no, it's Sam Darnold? No, that's old. It's old. Why would I not have a list? Is it really going to be Sam Darnold? I mean, who else is on the roster? It's got to be Sam Darnold, right? They don't have anybody else. Darnold's not out. I don't see that he's out. Peek here of who else they have on the... They do have Darnold. They have Darnold, P.J. Walker, and you're not going to see the third guy. So it might be P.J. Walker who's starting. Is he healthy? So I have no idea what Carolina expects to accomplish in this game. How many games this guy start? P.J. Walker has started 5 games, played in 6. 63 for 106, 59.4 completion rate. It's only got 700 yards. He's only throwing for a little over 100 yards a game, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That about tells me enough here that I think the Seahawks, with just the fact that their ship is not steered sideways, yeah, I'm gonna take Seattle here, minus 3.5. It's a bit rough that it's not a field goal. Might lose a close one there, but that's the way it goes. Do we have 2 Monday night games? No, that's tonight's game. We have the Sunday night game. The holidays are upon us, and nothing says aphrodisiac than a solid, waxy substance originating from the intestines of a sperm whale. Yes, Ambergris and Company has your hookup for the most incredible whale and whale-like substances you know will impress your partner. Ambergris & Co., Ahab and Ishmael approved. So we got the nightcaps here. We got the nightcap for today. Dolphins Chargers. What a big game to finish the today's slate of games off with. Let me get the it's one thing I really want to know about this particular one, because obviously we're gonna have Tua, right? We got Tua on the Dolphins, which already tells me with how middling the... So Justin Herbert is this quarterback, and their offensive line, like, how do I say it? Justin Herbert is the type of quarterback who will be put down, and like, we're down 10 points with 5 minutes to go, and he will make a game of it. And that's where this line gets into trouble. 55 is a heck of a lot of points, and this must be because both defenses are at the bottom quarter of the league in points allowed per game. However, the teams also score a lot of points. So if we add up it looks like both teams are going to score about 24 points. We get a line that's somewhere around 45 points. I like the under here, just because of they're going to give up points. The problem is that Miami's got a pretty high charged offense, but they're scoring 24.9 points per game. Chargers scoring 22.7, and both teams giving up 24 to 26 points a game. Takeaways really aren't going to be there, so it's going to be a lot of drives. If we actually did the math on expected value of the drives, there's a good chance that we actually could hit the over. Sorry, we'd hit the under here, just because there aren't going to be enough drives to score enough points, because enough of both teams have a lot of passing yards, but they don't have a lot of rushing yards. In fact, both teams are about as bad as the Bucs when it comes to the terrible rushing yard numbers. So there's going to be a lot of airing the ball out. There's going to be a lot of incompletions. Might lead to a few more drives in the game, but it's also going to mean that as long as the defense has played decent enough to keep the offenses honest, because of what's really happened in the NFL in the last few years is because we started running not just Tampa 2, we're now running all kinds of shell coverage. There really aren't a lot of weak points in the defenses. So even the bad defensive teams can still have good days when a lot of these quarterbacks that aren't amazing, like Tua is good, but he's not quite. They still get a lot of wild and wacky games. But in this case, I got to take Tua in the -3 because I think that star power is going to carry here. Justin Herbert might make it very much a show, and I'm going to I wouldn't parlay this. I'm just going to take the under 55 just because I think that the defenses. No defense in the NFL is that bad. They're bad, but they're not so bad that, are they really both going to give up 40 points in this game? I just don't see it. And Miami has actually, in their last 3 games, they've scored 29, 10, 19. Oh, it's the last 5 matchups. Sorry, that's the last 5 matchups. In fact, they haven't played since. I've actually got to look at their list. Let's just take a peek here. We got Okay, so last three games, well, the Lions, Bears, and the Browns are also pretty bad defenses. So this is Tua, right? So Tua's put up more than 30 points in the last three games. But we go back to them playing a little bit better defenses, Jets, Vikings, Steelers. They only scored 16, 17 points. So that's a bit rough. So I kind of like the over under here more than I like, because even just so if we add up the last outing for Miami, so they lost to San Francisco. That was the one last week, 17-33. Then the last four games they scored more than 40 points. So it's kind of a feast or famine type scenario, and it really depends on how the quality of the defense, because they played 49ers, really good defense, really particularly good pass rush, only scored 17 points. So the question I have to ask myself is how good is the Chargers pass rush? Well, it's actually kind of good. Now, definitely take the. I was just going to play the under here. Forget playing teams, because I don't know who's gonna get the better of the X's and O's when it comes to the passing yards. But when we look at the defenses, they're really good at limiting the amount of pass yards. So I think it's going to be a game where you're not going to see lots of 40-yard bombs down the field. Those are going to be too risky. It's going to be a lot of check downs, a lot of wheel routes, a lot of flats. That little out route get 5-6 yards. It's going to be that kind of game, which is eventually going to burn the clock. Under 55, that's what I'm going with there. All right, Lucky Spares, your partner this holiday season. Sit back with a glass from your soda jerk and hand out a handful of these beautifully hand-dipped and wrapped cigars and cigarettes. The premier torcedor for your expensive guests. Each hand-dipped cigar is a flavor intended to keep your friends addicted to our products. Peppermint, corn syrup, sugar, tar, and our personal favorite bubble mint honey maple. Stop by our store off of I-69, exit 69B to experience a new peak of flavor. All right, that's our sponsor going into the Monday night game, the Manning Cast. And all there is to go with it. We got the Patriots and the Cardinals. Now, I think Zach Brown is still throwing. They're not going to put in Zapata or whatever the guy's name was, Sappy Time or whatever. The Cardinals are a terrible team. So here's the problem: is that Belichick is always the X factor in this, and when it comes to prime time, I just got to say Belichick is going to find a way to win this game. Right? They're still in the playoff run. They're not trying to. Oh wow, playoff run's going to be tough. They basically have to win out, because they're not going to usurp the Bills. They're down 3 games. I just want to know one thing about their. Where is it? That's not anything. Where is it? Miami Patriots. There was Mac Jones, not Zach Jones. That's like combined. Zach Brown is the Formula One guy for McLaren. But anyways, we got Mac Jones. He's really struggled. We got Kyler Murray, he's actually not too bad. As far as the defenses, they're both pretty middling. Arizona played last week in the Mexico City game, which is really cool, but they allow a lot of points. I think this is actually going to be one that Belichick can actually cut up the Arizona backfield and find a lot of holes in their secondary. And I don't think Mac Jones is that bad of a quarterback that he can't throw to a. I mean, he's probably gonna find 8 to 10 yard checkdowns in this game, and they're really the takeaway difference. It's probably gonna be a pretty even game. The Patriots. So the question is, does Arizona have a really good guy like on the ground? James Conner, okay, but he's only averaging about 4 yards a carry. It's not crazy numbers. It's good, decent numbers, but it's not like crazy numbers. Is there anybody out that I need to worry about here? Kyler Murray has the hamstring, but he's in full practice. I wish I had some stats in front of me about pass rush, because that's really gonna be the question. Is if Kyler Murray can. Now I really like New England here, because that Judon, who's the is he the Mike, or is he? I forget if he's the Mike or the safety, but he plays so well in the secondary, and he reads the quarterback so well. Like the last few games, he's been good for some big game changing event, and I think that's where we're Monday night. It's prime time. Got to show off. I think I'm taking the Patriots here minus the 1.5, kind of nothing spread, and I wouldn't touch the over under here just because I think it's going to be pretty much about that number, and you're basically just taking a coin flip. So all right, so that was Iggy Talks Too Much, episode 1, the Air Check. Remember, get your Jeep Grand Cherokee, Pinto, Mercury, Hummer, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Saturn in the studios. That's our lovely sponsor. And our fun betting sponsor, Caesar and Cleopatra's Popina Wagering Parlor. Remember, all wagering advice should never be used. In fact, you should never ever wager, as our betting sponsor makes way too much money doing this. But you can sign up today with the promo code by sending a chariot with a stone carving with the full phrase "Full Caesar," and upon winning your first wager, you win 23 big ones in the rotunda. So, all right, that's it. That's your week of NFL action. Take it easy. We'll see you next time.